Minecraft server hosting is almost certainly a scam. I will show you through the course of this video both my experience and some of the experiences of others of working with Minecraft server hosting and why it is not only uneconomical, but it is almost extortionate, and in the end, a lot of it just doesn't work and it can be extremely frustrating. So, let's begin on my story. Now, I've been a server owner for a fairly long time. It all started when my friend got a server. We used the provider Shockbyte. Now, Shockbyte was good because it was relatively cheap. We paid like 10 or so euros, which, as I'll get into, is still relatively extortionate. 10 or so euros per month under, I believe it was the Cobblestone plan. I'm not sure if they changed their prices back then, now. But that's what it was back then. And we'd done this in about, I think it was December 2020? Might have been, yeah, I think it was December 2020. And what we'd done was make a Minecraft server, and at the start, it works fine. And that's a common theme. For like the first week of playing, sometimes less, most Minecraft servers that you will use from a server hosting platform work fine. And that server worked fine for when it was up for about 2 months. We played only with a couple friends, and realistically 2 gigabytes of RAM was all we needed. But then I decided to host my own server, once again using Shockbyte, this time with the Dirt plan. 1 gigabyte, fair enough, that's on me. But still, paying like 6 euros a month for 1 gigabyte of RAM. It's a subscription model as well, so think about it. Over a long period of time, you are paying an exorbitant amount of money for what is basically nothing. But don't worry, it doesn't get bad yet. It gets bad later. So we go on playing on the server. I think I bought my server around January. And then by April, we start to have serious lag problems. It all happens. It's the first time I'm new to server hosting at this time, and suddenly the server becomes almost unplayably laggy. And this was while someone was out exploring, and so everyone. This was the first time everyone was like, "What is happening? Aiden, can you please fix this?" So I looked into it, and I had deduced one thing from it. And that was, obviously, if it's about someone going out and exploring, I thought the main issue was because it was taking up too much disk space in the world. Now, obviously, I was inexperienced at that time especially, and I now know that probably wasn't the correct diagnosis. So I started going willy-nilly, deleting all my old worlds on that server, deleting tons of files. And surprise, surprise, the problem was not solved. So I had to look into it, and look into it further I did. As time progressed, lots of people, more and more people, and if you're a Minecraft server hoster, you know this, all of your friends who play on that server consistently ask you to upgrade the server. Consistently. So I withstood though. I was sitting on my 1 gigabyte for a very long time, and I went on for years with large amounts of lag on my server. It was not unplayable. It would get unplayable sometimes, but most of the time it was fine. And maybe it would only get bad if you had more than, say, 3 or so people on. But I persisted and I continued. After all, this was all I had known. All I'd known was server hosting. And I'd gotten to learn FileZilla, so I wasn't too eager to go off and learn something else now. So I was basically locked into their plan. So fast forwards now maybe a year and a half. And I eventually decided to upgrade the plan to a 2 gigabyte plan. But I had moved to my location. And this is where it really starts to cripple me. First of all, I had reached out to Shockbyte support many times, asking them, what should I do? Is there any way that I can get my server to run better? Because I'm having crippling lag, and it's making the game almost unplayable for the people who are playing on my servers. And they would usually just respond with the same thing, which is like switch the server to paper, or play on Spigot or something like that. Which I didn't find very helpful, especially being so new. I wasn't entirely sure what paper was. I did eventually switch it to paper, but it still didn't fix the lag problems. Surprise, surprise. And so I kept on going until at one point I moved locations. Now this gets pretty important. So originally I was living in Europe, and then I moved to Australia. And we started playing on the server, and anyone who's from Australia will feel my pain. You get 300 ping on like anything, because you're super far from the US and you're super far from Europe, which is where the two servers are. And if you're lucky, they'll have an Asian server, but then you can't understand any of their languages, and the ping's still 100 anyways. So what's the real point there? So I decided to ask Shockbyte about moving my server, and Shockbyte said, yeah, sure. Except now you have to pay like €6 extra a month. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Just to move it to, like, if I would move it outside of the US or Europe, even just to move it to Singapore, I would have to pay an increased price. So I was very unhappy with this. I copped it anyways because I had to. And I think this is a bit extortionate what they do anyways, because if you think about what Shockbyte's doing, it's fairly like they're not being evil in nature, but this is just human nature that happens anyways. If you have a server and you pay for it for 2 or so years and you care about it and you want to move it, naturally they can charge you a little bit extra because you're not going to want to throw it all away, and chances are you don't have a server of your own that you can just host it on. So fair play, but still it's very, very annoying. And over time the costs increase. Now this is where I get to the real part where I say it's actually probably not even worth it for a long time Minecraft server. So if we look all the way back at the beginning, I bought my Minecraft server in January of 2021, and I still pay for it now, even though I'm very much thinking of cancelling. I've switched to a friend's server. Let's say I pay €10 a month for what basically is, considering it's December now, I'll just round it off, 36 months for 3 years, and you're basically paying €360, and to go to Australian dollars, make that 550 Aussie for 3 years of a Minecraft server that, keep in mind, has been running the entire time really laggily, with lots of issues, hiccups. I had to do a lot of stuff myself, problems that were present. So for all of that, for that absurd price. And that's why I say I entirely suggest you that if you're thinking of hosting a long-term server that's not just like a 1-month thing with your friends, because I tell you what, it's very easy to get attached to your servers, then you definitely should buy yourself a really cheap like PC somewhere, configure the server. I don't know how to do it still. I'm graciously using the support of a friend, but I would definitely advise that you figure it out and you get it working, because Minecraft servers are extortionate. Now that's just my story. I'm sure there are plenty of other people who have had other pretty horrible stories with these Minecraft servers, and they can be really terrible and frustrating sometimes. Like, I've had my entire worlds deleted. I think at one point, this was horrible. Someone had griefed my server, and I was fine because I thought I had a backup. But then it turns out that Shockbyte didn't take backups if your world was over a certain amount of gigabytes, and I didn't know that. So I had to revert from a save from 6 months prior. What a pity. So it's just the cherry on top to a long list of gripes I have with the Minecraft server system that hopefully will be managed and fixed. Once again, I'm putting this video out to ask Minecraft server hosts to improve, to make themselves a little bit better, make themselves maybe a bit cheaper. I know they're making a shit ton of money on this stuff. Well, I'd hope not, but if they are, I would encourage you to decrease your prices and to provide a whole lot more support than what was happening previous, because I overall have had a pretty unhappy time using Minecraft servers. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked this content, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of it. That is my story of Minecraft servers and why I think you should own your own. So thank you. Goodbye.